My job is all about purpose.
Just the ability to make a difference, to help someone be able to go home at the end of the day.
My great-grandfather started the volunteer fire department in Springfield, Nebraska. My grandmother was a nurse. My uncle was a fire chief in Atlanta, Georgia. So somewhere down the line, it was my purpose to be doing this.
Yeah, we're a family here.
The data we get from Rapid SOS is life-saving.
Have you ever met a 911 professional and asked, what's the worst call you've ever taken? Well, here's your answer. I heard your last breath the night you flipped your four-wheeler. I tried to call you the day you committed suicide by driving your car into a tree. Blue face, cold to the touch. I helped you with CPR after you found your infant face down, not breathing. It messed me up. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. You were with me from the beginning, Grandma. 27 years later, I took the 911 call when you died. How fitting to be there for me in the beginning, and I was there for you in the end. I miss you, Grandma. I am 911. This is but a glimpse into the world of emergency dispatch. But what is it really like to answer a call during someone's nightmare? What is the impact of the first responder answering the call? Available on Amazon or where you purchase your favorite books and ebooks. Imagine listening. Your worst day is our everyday.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
So to be able to hear it, to experience it, to even see it on your CAD screen that this has happened. Maybe I didn't take the call, but someone else took the call, but I can still see what happened. And that may have been the scenario that happened that day, but I still knew it happened. Just to know that someone was that depressed, things were going on in their life that caused them to do this. And this specific person, this specific call, they weren't anywhere near where somebody could help them. So the people that called heard it, and then they had to walk a mile to go find this person. So I think that's why it sticks with me, because as a regular civilian, but you don't know.
Right.
And so then when you're here, you see it, you think about these people, you think about their family, you think about the life that they lived and what got them to that point. And it's sad. Truthfully, it's very sad.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This episode is sponsored by Rapid SOS, Safer Together, the leading AI company in public safety. And a big shout out to subscribers. As always, thank you for everything, but especially all of you who watch, listen, support, and share. I wouldn't be able to do this without all of you. So thank you so very much. And you might be able to hear in the background, it sounds like there's a hurricane or something going on. We have some crazy weather going on. Just a couple days ago, it was 80 degrees, and now it is in the very low 30s, and the wind is, let's just say, I hope that my grill has not blown over, because that would suck. But you might be able to hear it in this room, because this room isn't insulated that well, so it might come on in the background. But as always, a lot of things going on, and it is currently March 13th, Friday the 13th. So happy Jason Voorhees Day. Hopefully everyone is having a good day and everything. And yeah, you just got so many things going on, conferences coming up, speaking engagements. Yesterday, I actually had the honor of sitting in on the Pages and Voices podcast here locally in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Allen County Library, because they have their podcast where they have local authors come on. And because I have Imagine Listening, Volume 1 and 2 books out there. I had submitted one of them, and they chose me and a few others to come on for this newest season that they're doing. So that was an honor. Thank you, Allen County, very, very much for bringing me in and giving me the opportunity to talk about the powerful, impactful dispatch stories that make up the I Am 911 movement. So thank you very much for that. I'm excited for my guest today, and we're going to have some fun. There's a baby birth story coming up as well. I'll give you a little preview, but we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. So, my guest today is Autumn, and she is a 911 call taker and 911 professional at the Indian County River Sheriff's Office out of Florida.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on here as well. We were talking a little bit before we started, and I said, "You know what? You don't look nervous or anything at all." I have people who have come on who've said, "I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of nervous." But you, like you said, we're just talking, right?
Yep.
And you are exactly correct. That is what we're
Yes.
doing.
This is a life we
And
live.
yes, exactly. Yes. And so there's so much already that I'm sure that you have experienced. And we're going to be getting
Yes.
to this main story here in a moment. But, let's go ahead and just jump right in.
Okay.
So you have been dispatching for just over 3 months now. But how did you get
Yes.
involved in public safety to begin with? Do you come from like a dispatch family, or do you know a friend, or you just kind of fell into it?
So I do know a couple of people that work here
Mhm.
with me that I've known since school. And so I have reached out to them. I think I reached out to my one friend like a couple of years ago. Like, what does it take? Do you think I would be good at it? I have kids, like, is it okay to do it with family? And she also has kids. And so it's actually something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. I grew up watching Cops with my mom. I follow all of these dispatchers on social media, like all
Mhm.
kinds of stuff like that. It was just, I had to wait until I had the support system with my two small kids. So I begged my husband for a couple of years and he finally said yes. And I submitted my application the same day to do this. So yeah, it's a long time coming.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Oh,
see, this is awesome. I love to hear things like this, especially the fact that you had friends already in it that you were
yeah.
able to reach out to. Did you get a chance to do a sit along before you actually applied, or how did that work?
Yeah, so actually with this department, you submit your like preliminary application and then you
Mhm.
do observations. So you'll do two 2-hour observations, one 2-hour day shift, one 2-hour night shift. And during those observations, you fill out a form like you let them know what you liked and what you disliked and how things were going and if this is still something you could see yourself doing. So of course, I said yes.
Yeah.
So then you move on to all of the rest of the process as long as they're in agreement with it as well. But yeah, so you can sit in, and then after I was hired, I observed for the first full week of those like 8-hour shifts for that first full week before you go into your 12s, and was able to like see a full day of how it was ran and how things worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess what was it that, like you said, you grew up watching Cops and all of that. What was it that really, I guess, captured those moments where you're like, you know what, I think I could do this. Like I really want to try to do this. Or maybe it was your friends who were talking about some of those things as well, on top of the things that you watched on
Yeah.
Cops and everything. What was it that really drew you to the 911 profession?
I like to help people and I like to talk. So I talk to people all day long on the phone. And I've always worked in like the medical field before this.
Mhm.
So helping people has always been something I've wanted to do my whole life. And going on the road did not, I couldn't do that. I couldn't actually show up to the people's houses. So to be the first voice that they hear and to be the person that helps them originally to get help there has just been intriguing to me my whole life.
Do you feel as though working in the medical field before coming into 911 that prepared you for some things that you're doing now?
Yes, I do. So we do EMD as well.
Mhm.
So to get these medical calls of people that are having strokes or having seizures or they're just like not sure how they're feeling, I feel like working in the medical field no matter where in the medical field, that you kind of have a little bit more insight of like when they're telling you something that it kind of sounds like this or it could be that. So you know some additional questions to ask to see if that's kind of the category it falls into.
Do you also feel on the flip side of that though that it it was a little tough in the sense that, where you were hands-on, now it's just your voice and you're giving instruction versus being that hands-on. Like, I can imagine making the switch and thinking, if only I was there, like I could, if I could put my hands through the phone, I
Yes.
could help you a little even better.
So the last place I worked at was actually home health. So I was a lot through the
Mhm.
phone there. I didn't go to people's homes. I was just on the phone. Um, so yes, it's a little bit hard because your mind makes a whole story. You're envisioning everything that's
Right.
happening over the phone. So
Yeah.
I do. It's a little bit tough. Like I wish I was there and could actually help them, but then on the other hand, like I am helping them. I am
Yes.
trying to talk them through this.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so when you were doing your sit along before you got hired, before you came in and you were doing the 8 hours observation and all of that, did anything happen while you were sitting there in that like those first sit alongs? Or were you just kind of like, is this all?
Yeah, so actually, yes, and it's not a good call that comes through. It's a suicide call that came through on I think my first sit along, like the first hour that I was there. So that's a little heart wrenching when you
Right.
don't know like what you're getting into. So that call has actually stuck with me that I listened to. Yeah, and it didn't end well for the person. But that call has stuck with me. Yeah.
What are and if you don't mind me asking, like this is actually a question that I usually ask later on, but we're jumping right into it because
Okay.
the way you mentioned it, that it sticks with you and all. So if you don't mind me asking, and if you don't mind sharing, what were some of the things that has caused it to stick with you? Like when you think about, you're listening, right? I'm sure they had you kind of like on a cord like this of some sort,
Yep.
somehow
Attached
listening
to the other
along.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the umbilical cord, as we called it. Um,
Yeah.
you're sitting there. I can only imagine having, taken many calls like that as well,
Mhm.
sitting there and listening to those things for the first time, the screams or,
Mhm.
even the smallest sound or tone
Mhm.
in the background that you hear. Is it things like that? Is it the person that you're sitting with? Because maybe even the person who's actually taking the call and you're sitting as they're taking it, you're seeing them or you're hearing them, or maybe you're feeling what they're feeling. What are some of those things?
I think so that first original call, it stuck with me because in the community, just being a regular civilian in the community, these things happen, but you don't know when it happens all the time.
Mhm.
So to be able to like hear it, to experience it, to even see it on your CAD screen that like this has happened. Maybe I didn't take the call, but someone else took the call, but I can still see like what happened. And that may have been the scenario that happened that day, but I still knew it happened.
Mhm.
Just to know that someone was that depressed, things were going on in their life that caused them to do this. And this specific person, this specific call, like they weren't anywhere near where somebody could help them. So the people that called heard it. And then they had to like walk like a mile to go find this person. So I think that's why it sticks with me because as a regular civilian, but you don't know. And
Right.
so then when you're here, you see it. You think about these people, you think about their family, you think about the life that they lived and what got them to that point. And it's sad, truthfully. It's very sad. Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest parts about this profession in the sense that, we're all empaths and we
Hmm.
put ourselves in the caller's shoes
Hmm.
to connect in a
Hmm.
deeper way, to quickly build rapport and get the answers to the questions that we're asking to get help there as fast as possible. And when you
Yes.
put yourself in someone's shoes, you really are living through their nightmare with them.
Yes.
And where you end the call, but with some of those, like we're talking here, that call doesn't end, you know, fully, right? Because
Oh,
some of those things stick with you.
yeah.
And I can relate as well. The very first real emergency that I had when I started out in dispatching was a suicidal call as well. and it was a wife who found her husband that had hung himself. And for me, for that being the first one out of training,
Hmm.
to take, the difference though is that, and the difference in the sense is, we're answering phone calls. I thought that big first major one was going to be answering a phone call, but at this small PD that I worked at, people could walk in to make complaints. And
Oh,
this specific call was a wife who ran into the PD, and the chief just happened to be there with me. And as he was leaving for his shift, and now it's in front of me, and I'm trying to process this. So yeah, just like you, and I think a lot of us, we try to process where how did that person get to that point?
hmm.
Because it's almost like you can't imagine yourself getting to that point, but when someone else does, and you start learning all of this, you just start to question certain things. You're like,
Right.
why, how, and you're right. When you get into, or before you get into dispatch, and you see all of these things happening in the news, there's more to the story,
Yeah.
and but you don't know it. But when you get into dispatch and then you see other news stories, what the rest of it is. And I remember I would have friends or family say, "So what else happened there?" I'm like, I'm not going to tell you. You don't want to
You don't want
know.
to know.
Yeah, it was bad. I'll just say it was bad. So
Yeah.
with that though, excuse me, even though that has stuck with you, but even just like after that moment, after that call, was there, did your supervisor look at you and say, like, "Are you okay?" Is anything, or a debrief or anything like that? The only reason I ask is because one of the calls that I remember when I switched from the small PD to the central dispatch back in Southwest Michigan, where I finished my dispatching career, there was a call the first night that I was working midnights training, and I remember my trainer looking over at me, and she goes, "Are you all right?"
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, yeah, of course." And she goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "No, no, no, I am." I said, I wasn't expecting that type of call to be the first call that I listen here, because I already had about 4 years of experience and all.
Right.
So I was okay, but I just, even years later, I remember her and I just kind of reflecting, and she goes, "I wasn't sure if you were gonna stay because of the look on your face." And I said, "Nope, that was just me thinking, oh, welcome to dispatch."
Right. Right. The agency that I work for,
Mhm.
they're very big on mental health, which is
That's awesome.
wonderful
Yeah.
because you need it in this line of work. Everyone that I've talked to has like been about mental health, and which is it's very nice. It's very reassuring. And I had a couple of calls actually within 2 hours where I had two CPR calls where both people didn't make it. And I finally looked at my CTO and I was like, I need to go for a walk. And she's like, okay, take your time, like it's fine. Take as much time as you need. And I was like,
Yeah.
bye. I got to step away from this phone.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So to have back-to-back CPRs like that,
yeah.
and it not have a great outcome, a lot of times what people don't understand, and something that I try to help people understand, is that we want to help people so much,
Yes.
because that's what we're there for. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
That when it doesn't have the outcome that we wished that it had, or that we were hoping that it was going to have, and we're hearing family members cry and all this other
Yeah.
stuff, we almost at times start to blame ourselves.
Hmm.
And you start to question, it's like, well, if I would have done this, would it have made a difference if I
Hmm.
had done this? So that's why I love that you have folks there that are there, and
Yes.
they are big on that mental health and wellness, because towards the end of my career, there were folks who, because of the things that I do and everything, they would reach out and they would tell me, "Hey," and it wasn't just me, it was the rest of us as well. "You did everything you could."
Yeah.
And I think it's good for people to know that, having that gift of closure, in a sense, knowing that nothing was left to chance, there was
Hmm.
no other question, that you did everything that you could, helps that mental health and
Yes, it
wellness
does.
in so many ways.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
It's uh it's an interesting profession that we're in.
Yes, it is. I mean, I got another call where, I don't know, recently, where a lady had a dead raccoon in her yard and she wanted the raccoon picked up. And so we call animal control and my dispatcher was like, animal control won't typically go out for this.
Yeah.
And so animal control did call in, and they ended up saying like, I'll go out for her. Well, she called back and she was so appreciative and was like, can I speak with your supervisor just to let them know that you like really helped me? And I was like,
Aw.
if you want to speak with him, he was actually listening in on me because I was in my solo phase. So he already knew what was
Right.
happening. But so it's not all bad. We do get some people that are very appreciative of what we do.
Right. Yeah. And I think those are the things too that a lot of us need to try to focus
Yeah.
on as well. I tell people if you are not journaling now, make sure to start journaling because you can write
Yes.
down all of those wins.
Yes.
And when you have crap call after crap call after crap call, you can go back, look at those wins, and
Yes.
especially if you're even questioning, am I in the right spot? Am I doing what
Yes.
I should be doing? You can look at those wins and remember your why.
Absolutely. I actually follow a dispatcher on TikTok or one of the social medias, and she, if anybody's big into faith or anything like that, she has a prayer book that
Oh,
she writes down these calls into, good or bad, where she just feels like maybe this person needs a little extra prayer. I thought that was really cool. That stuck with me too. It's sort of like journaling. You're still
yeah.
writing it down and you're thinking about these people. So yeah, I thought that was really cool.
That is very awesome. I love that. I love that there's so many more resources, that there's so many more
Yes.
people who are talking about these things because for a
Mm-hmm.
long time, no one was talking about it.
Yeah.
And it was almost as if we weren't allowed to feel like we were the ones that was like, okay, jump to the next call because there's more emergencies. And now that people are really like from 2016 on, there have been more and more people who are really pushing and focusing on the mental health and wellness of now
Yes.
professionals. And I love it more than you know.
Yeah. It's a fabulous thing for sure.
Yes, yeah, for real. So, you end up starting out, you walk in. So just to give those who are watching and listening a better picture of what you see. So it's day one,
Day
you're
one.
walking into the center, and what do you see? Like, are there multiple consoles? How many people are working on the floor at a time? And
Trying to think.
also, how are you feeling when you walk in? Are you feeling overwhelmed, excited?
Personally, I was excited from the get-go. Like, there was never
Yeah,
second guessing this.
nice.
Yeah. So walking into our center, so we've got 4 seats that, like, their backs face each other,
Mhm.
but they're still right there and they can turn around and speak with one another. And then you've got a little further back, you've got like a training console, and then, or the trainer or the shift supervisor, however you want to describe that. And then in the corners, you have 2 only call taker computers, not just computers. We're looking
Mhm.
at 8 screens.
Holy
So,
moly,
yeah,
okay. You got 8 monitors,
8
okay.
monitors. And so there are room for 7 people to sit. And so I think typically shifts are about 5 to 6. Fully staffed, I think they're about 6. So you've got about 5 other people in the room with you, 4 or 5 other people in the room with you. And we're all pretty much going through the same thing, you know? So I have had 0 complaints with the agency that I work at. Everyone's been super friendly, super kind. They check on you, which is very reassuring as well. Like you were saying, it's nice to have somebody say, you did everything that you could have done. So my agency's been very good about that. So yeah, 5 or 6, 4 or 5 other people in the room with you. So,
It sounds like the way you describe it, if someone is typing in, so let me give you an example of what I'm
okay.
getting at here. The last center that I was at, we were shaped, it was kind of shaped kind of like a horseshoe.
Okay.
And so we had 5 consoles. The minimum though for us was 3. And on the weekend it was 4. But on like one side it was main phones, 2 consoles for phones, and on the other side it was main law enforcement radios. And then we had a backup position that would do phones or radios if we needed to
Hmm.
back up. But that was called the lean position, which would
Okay.
be FCIC for all of you, FCIC, NCIC. But in Michigan we call it lean slash NCIC. So that's how that setup was. And if something was going on and you were on radios, you knew that you were just about to get something crazy because someone is typing hard and fast, because you can hear it, because that's how close we are to each other, right?
Yeah.
So or someone is taking that call, and you naturally, so that the room knows what you
Yes.
have going on. What? There's a rabid raccoon in your, and everyone's like, oh, okay, we're gonna have this. Or it's someone just yells out, I've got an open line, they're screaming in the background, and that is, hopefully it's a landline.
Yes.
We've got the location. We would put in what we would call just an unknown situation. It would be our quick call, unknown situation, and we would just tone it out
Okay.
until and say, yelling in the background or whichever. So what I'm getting at is the way you explain your center and how your backs are facing each other and stuff. You're close enough that
We
you
are.
would either hear someone typing hard and fast, so
Yes.
something is going on,
Yes.
or someone would repeat what they're hearing on the phone, and
Yes.
everyone, if you're like, sitting back, everyone ends up moving up, sitting
Yes.
up at attention, or like, all right,
Take a
it's a
deep breath. Here we
yes,
go.
it's about to go down.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what happens. You just
Oh,
know, and you can hear the tone of voice that the call taker's in, and yeah, you just go from there.
so how does that make you feel? Like when you're sitting in there and things like that happen, like you just take a deep breath. All right, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how you feel. I naturally am a nosy person, so I like to know what's happening.
That's hilarious. I love
Yes.
it.
So, like, in my first couple of days of training, I'm like, "Can I listen in on her call? It sounds like it's a good one, like, that I would need to know, like, what's happening and
Right.
for
And
future."
right, exactly. And you know what I love is how you just said it, because those who are not in public safety, they wouldn't understand that. Like, I have said stuff like that out loud, and I'll get a look like, "What do you mean? What do you mean that's a good call? It's a 911 call that's coming in." I'm like, "Well, what I," and then I have to
For training
explain,
purposes.
like, it's a higher priority call where we can
Yes.
learn more and help even more. And
Yes.
they would go, oh, okay, because you sounded bloodthirsty there. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. It's like, it just means that we're able to help with the
Yes.
even higher priority call. Not that you
It's a
can't.
good training call. It's a
Right,
good
exactly.
yeah.
Yes. There's stuff that you can learn. And it's not that you wouldn't be able to with a lower priority call, right? Because
Right.
anything can happen with those. I mean, I remember we would have noise complaints that were like a
Mhm.
dog barking, and then it turns out, the neighbors are fighting. And they were
Right.
like, oh crap, like this just escalated.
Yeah.
Someone just pulled out a trident or something. Not seriously, but like it could escalate.
Yes.
Anything can happen,
Yeah.
and you just got to be ready. You got
Yes,
to
and
be
you
ready for it.
also have to just listen to what's happening on the phone. That was
Mhm.
one thing that I struggled with a little bit at the beginning was like active listening is like you're listening to the person talk, but you're also trying to listen for the background noise and
Yes.
what's going on behind them. Because I took a hard watch detection fall.
Mhm.
Um, on there it's the automated thing that comes through from
Right.
Apple, and
Yeah.
the male like got on the phone, he's like, I'm okay. It just did not sound right to me. So I told my supervisor, I'm like, I'm putting this in as a welfare check because I strongly don't believe that he's okay. And he was on the floor and needed help up.
See,
You just
you
know.
you have the instinct already, which is good. We always tell people, like, it's that gut feeling that
Yes.
something is not right. And I would rather someone get sent out, whether it be me making the decision or my trainee making the decision.
Yes.
Send someone out, or because then it'll be something that ends up on the news, and it might not be a good thing, right?
That's
That
like
that happens.
yeah, and that's like something that would like keep me up at night. I should have sent
Oh, for
somebody to
sure.
that call.
Right.
Yeah.
We would always say, when in doubt, tone it out.
Yes. I'm with you on that
or,
one.
or when in doubt, send them out, or something like that.
Yes.
One of the two. We
Yes.
would we would do it, because we would rather send people and it end up being nothing than
Yes.
not, and it's something. And yeah, that will keep you up at night. It'll eat you alive.
Yes, well.
You don't want that. Like, for me, thinking back before like rapid SOS, and this is like 2012, 2013 time as well, this technology wasn't there. So the place that I dispatched for, we had a huge like state game area, and people would go hiking,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they would get lost, and the cell phone coverage wasn't the greatest in that area specifically. So sometimes they would get through, and they would say, I'm lost in such and such area. Can you try to find me? I'm like, we can try. And you would have to send a message out to cell phone carriers, whichever one it might be, to
To
see if you
ping
can,
it.
yeah, to ping them. And sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And sometimes an officer would be out there, and we would have to say, do you hear the sirens? Do you see the lights flashing? Walk
Mm-hmm.
towards the light. And sometimes it would work, but there would be other times where we would lose the call and we couldn't get back in touch with them.
Yeah.
And then you go home. For me, it was driving 45 minutes home, praying and hoping that that person ended up making it out.
Yes. Yeah. And Rapid SOS, now that we have Rapid SOS and you can like what three words this we call I'm sure everybody else, I don't know, calls
Yeah.
it what three words. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to like it pinpoints like exactly where they are. And so good. So good that we have that.
Yes, that is probably one of the best things to happen to 911, because they
Yes.
they basically solved the location issue where
Yes.
you would be like me going home hoping and praying that someone found that person, or
Yes.
they were able to make their way out on their
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
So how does do you guys work 8s or 12s?
12s.
Okay, so you work 12-hour shifts, and then when you're working through your training rotation, so you're just over 3 months in, so you're still
Hmm.
in training, right?
I'm
So,
actually have been released as a call taker. I'm official.
oh, look at you. Very nice. How does that feel?
Good. I mean, it's different when you have
Hmm.
somebody listening to every single call that you take and are like
Yeah.
critiquing everything you did. I feel like I probably made more mistakes in training, which is good. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong that you're like making mistakes in training, not life or death mistakes, small
Right.
mistakes
Exactly. Yeah.
that you can have fixed. So then, like, when you're by yourself, you can take a deep breath. You're like, nobody's listening to me. I know what I'm doing. I've got
Hmm.
this. That's, I
Yeah.
was, yeah, take a
I
deep breath and go.
I would say that I was probably the same way, and a lot of times it's because you're right. There's someone who's sitting right there,
Yeah.
and I would be typing, and I would mess up my typing, and I would look over at my trainer, and she would go, "It's because I'm watching you type. That's why you keep messing up."
I promise I can spell.
Right, yes. I'm like, I am a very good speller and typer, but I can feel you breathing on me. Can you move a little bit? But yeah, there's those moments too where I think, like, for myself, this is one that I will never forget. When I was getting ready to be done with my training, and this was like full on, I've gone through phase 1, through the shadow phase 4, and now I'm able to, I can do my medicals, I can do calls, I can
Hmm.
work on the radio, I can do the NCIC stuff. I'm ready to go. But I say I'm ready to go. My trainer said I was ready to go, and I remember her saying, "So you're going to be on your own now. Are you ready?" And I looked at her and said, "No." Like, "No, I'm not ready." And she goes, "But you already have, a few years of experience." And I said, "That's at a single seat PD. This is
Yeah.
completely different. And the call volume here is way higher than it was over there." And she goes, "Listen, take a deep breath. You've got this. You can do this." And I think one of the last calls before I was done with training, it was a domestic. And
Mm.
with that old CAD system that we had, you had to make sure that you had the incident type in there right, the ORIs, the township codes, like all
Oh
of
my
that had to
goodness.
be right. Yeah, before you could put it in. So, for whatever reason, I could not remember the incident type for domestic. You would think that it would just be DV, but it wasn't. It was DOME. I don't know why.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was just those 4 letters, and for the life of me, I couldn't get it in there. And I remember muting my microphone. We already had people heading over there. But my trainer, I looked at her and I said, "You're gonna have to jump in on this. I can't get this to go in." And she goes, "No, I'm not. You're gonna do this. You've got this." And that's all I needed to hear from
Hmm.
her for me to, like, to do it. And it kicked in and everything ended up being fine. I mean, it was a verbal domestic only. So they were separated, but it was just that one thing. But I needed that little kick in the ass to be like,
Yes.
okay, I do have this. Her mentality very much so was that of, I'm gonna let you take in some water, but I'm not gonna let you drown.
Hmm.
So
So my last CTO that I had, her name's Eva, and she's actually the one that I took the birth story with.
mhm,
She told me at the beginning, she was like, I'm gonna let you sink a little here. Like, you're gonna sink a little. I'm right here. So like if things get bad, like I can take over, but you're gonna sink a little before you swim here. And I was like, fine by me, because it's what you need, right? It's that
right,
push,
yeah.
like you were just saying, that you need to be able to know that you can actually do it on your own.
Yeah, that is amazing. And you know, the fact that you were already talking about how you were you were ready to go. Like a lot of times, like for myself specifically, and a lot of folks that I've spoken to, they have said, and I kind of agree with this as well, that it's the 2 to 3 year mark is kind of the sweet spot for when you
Mhm.
feel like fully dialed in. It's not that you weren't, trained well or anything in the beginning. You know all your stuff, but it's kind of around that time that you're dialed in and
Mhm.
you've got that like just straight confidence. But talking to you, it sounds like you already have that. It sounds like you're already ready to go.
I'm not like 100% confident,
You're like,
but
hold up a minute.
the only way you're going to know how to do it is to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and everyone that I've talked to is like, you're going to have questions probably for a really long time, and it's okay to
Mhm.
ask them.
Yeah.
So,
The best 911 professionals out there, I would say, are those who are learning every day, who are
yeah.
always asking questions because this profession evolves and evolves
Yes.
and progresses. And there's always going to be something new. So
Yes.
if you end up, not you specifically, but anyone who's listening, if someone gets to the point where they think there's nothing else to learn,
Mm,
you might want to think about that
yeah.
or think about switching professions because
Don't say that, because the next call you get is going to be something you need to learn.
right, exactly. Oh my Lord. Okay, you just made me think of something. So you say that and you're right. Sometimes you put something out in the air
Yep.
and it happens. So and this was my very last day. So my very last shift in dispatch. It was July 22nd, 2013. And I
Okay.
was working a 1P to 1A shift because I wanted to work with the morning crew and those out in the field to say my goodbyes and everything else. And then I was going to work with my team that I was the supervisor for until 1 a.m. Well, the person who was supposed to work that shift got sick. So
Oh,
she
man.
called in. And I remember my team saying, so why aren't you going down the force in list, the overtime list? And I said, I'm not going to force anybody to come in tonight. This is my last shift. I'm going to go with my team. And they're like, oh, yeah. I was like, we're going out on the ship, man. Like, that's what we're going to
Yeah.
do. And it was only 4 more hours, So, in true dispatch form, my very last shift was an overtime shift. It was a 16-hour shift. So, I had switched from phones to radios. And there's about, I don't know, about 40 or so minutes left. And I'm talking with my team, and I end up saying to them, there's one call that I can honestly say that I have never, ever taken throughout all of my years in dispatch. And they started chuckling and they said, don't put it out there because it's going to happen. I was like, there is no way in hell that this could happen. And they're like, all right, dude, go ahead and say it. So what the call was me having to translate a medical through in Spanish because I would translate. I would do Spanish calls and all, and we started laughing and stuff. And a little bit later, 911 goes off, and I hear my coworker Jill, who's on main phone. She starts saying, un momento," and I looked up and I looked over at my partner Whitney, and she goes, "Dude, you see what you did?" And I said, "You guys are messing with me, man. There's no way." So she puts them on hold, And she stands up and she is busting up laughing. And I thought, oh, you guys got an officer to call in. I was like, you guys had me. She goes, no, you need to answer the phone right now. And still up until the point that I answered the phone, I thought they were messing with me, but they were not. I had to translate Spanish, and it turned out to be a medical.
Oh my goodness, you did it all.
I did it. Yes. Oh my Lord. I was like, the dispatch gods or the dispatch universe, however you want to
They
describe
heard
it.
you.
They heard me. And yeah, it was a guy who was visiting friends, and he did not know where he was. Luckily for me, he was in an area, the southwest part of the county that I actually grew up in. So I knew exactly where he was, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
But he was having a panic attack. He was having chest pain, difficulty breathing. So all of that's priority one, man. We
Yes,
have
it is.
everyone going out.
Lights and sirens are on.
Yes. And he was at a party. All of his friends were passed out drunk.
Oh, gosh.
He was also intoxicated. In the end, there was no transport. He ended up being fine. They checked him out, and he's like, I don't want to go. So they just left him. But after I got off the phone, I looked at everybody, and they said, see what you did? Like, you put it out there.
So true. You do put it out there. You say it and it's happening.
It's, it's like, I won't say the word, but it's like saying the Q word.
Yes.
When you're in dispatch and everything goes to hell.
Yes.
Or, an officer would leave and they would say it and we'd be like, why? What? You know what? You're going to be the one we're going to send out there.
Or it's like when your day shift officers are off duty and your night shift dispatch team's coming in and they're passing one each other and they say it to them.
Yes.
It's been really cute today. And they're like,
right.
Really?
Yeah. You're like, how dare you?
We're calling you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
going to be coming in. So I love hearing the way you talk about the profession, what you do. You genuinely love this. Like I can see it, I can hear it in your voice, your tone, all of it. And it is refreshing to see this and hear this. And you've only been doing this for just over 3 months.
Yes.
And from what it sounds like, you have taken a lot of different calls already. You've experienced a lot of different things. And I had seen on social media a call that you had done. And this fell on Valentine's Day. Now, I want to play some of the video that's here, and then I want to discuss it. And holy crap, that wind is really kicking up. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. But it's like shaking around in my room. This is nuts. That's why I have the zip up on, because it's actually blowing in through this window that doesn't have the greatest insulation. So let me add this to the screen here really quick. And then we'll go from there. So here we go.
So a story you'll only see here on WPBF 25. A dispatcher at the Indian River County Sheriff's Office helped a woman deliver a baby over the phone. It all happened on Valentine's Day. Angela Rozier caught up with the mom, baby, and dispatcher.
Well, we got a chance to meet that dispatcher here at the Indian River County Sheriff's Office, and she says she's always wanted to help people.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Autumn Martin is a dispatch call taker here at the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. She started on December 8th. She got that 911 call about a woman going into labor on February 14th.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi there. Yes, I am at my sister's house. She's currently in active labor. The midwife is on her way. However, baby is coming faster than the midwife.
Okay, what's the address?
She admits it was a little scary at first, but she did what she was trained to do with her supervisor by her side. And she says the mom's sister and husband were also there helping during the call.
I mean, I was just answering calls as they were coming in, and I got the call and they said the baby's crowning, and I said, okay, we're having a baby.
Meet Evie. Her mom, Shannon Wells, tells me this is her 5th child. She and her husband had planned to have a water birth at home with the midwife, but Evie had other plans.
I looked at my sister, said, we're not going to make it. I can feel her head. Like I could feel that she had shifted her position finally and was coming.
She says while the midwife was en route, they were told to dial 911. And Evie made her entrance on Valentine's Day.
That's it. Come on.
She's breathing?
Yeah, well.
She's trying.
Starting to make noise.
It's sweet to hear a baby cry. I have 2 of my own, and it's I think music to your ears when you first hear the little baby cry.
And again, we did get to meet mom and baby, and they are doing just fine. In Indian River County, Angela Rozier, WPBF 25 News.
So there you have it right there. And what an amazing moment. Talk me through this.
Like I said, I was just answering calls, it's I was on night shift. I had my trainer Eva. I was in phase 4, so I was at the end of my training because we do 4 phases and then we go to solos. So this call comes in. You heard the beginning of it. So they actually live out west. And so it takes a little bit. We do have a station close there, like a fire station close there, but they do live out west a little bit. And I was like, how far apart are their contractions? And they're like, oh no, we're past that. And I was like, okay, here we go. And so you just talked them through. Eva came to my desk. She sat on my desk with me. She was just like, I looked at her at one point, like a little bit panicked, and she's like, it's okay, And so we open up our EMD, we open up the cards that we need to give the instructions. And I couldn't really hear mom much, but I could hear the dad and I could hear the mom's sister that was on the phone with me. And she was talking me through what was happening. And then the dad's like, I can see the head. And I was like, okay. So then the head came out and I was like, the umbilical cord, I need to make sure the umbilical cord's not wrapped around the neck. And he's like, I can't see that yet. And I was like, okay. So then the next instruction you give is that in the next 2 to 3 contractions, the baby's coming out. And so Eva's like, make sure you keep telling them to support the head. And I was like, okay. Repeated what she said, make sure you guys have the head supported. And baby came out and I'm like, you have to wipe her mouth really quick, to make sure you get all the stuff out of there so she could breathe. And you heard me ask, is she breathing? And then finally they were like, there she is. And so I could hear it faintly. I couldn't hear it really loud because I actually know people who know the mom. I don't know the mom personally, but the people in my church know her personally. And they were like, she gave birth in the bathtub. I was like, oh, I had no idea. No idea. It's not something I know. So baby came out, baby started crying. I'm like, put the baby on the mom's chest, And so then mom and baby were doing okay. I knew that we had units right around the corner, almost there to them. And so I was like, congratulations to you all. And we disconnected the phone and I was like, oh, that was way scarier than having my own babies.
Oh, that's amazing though, because so here's a question. Did you get a stork pin?
I did.
Yes.
I did get my stork pin. I carry it around in my purse with me. Yeah, and I was actually told by especially Eva was like, some people go their entire careers wanting this and never getting it. She was like, you got it in training. And I was like, this is wild.
Yes. Yeah. What's funny is I was going to say the exact same thing. I was going to say, there are some folks who go their whole career and they don't ever get a chance. There might be moments where you're close,
yes,
but not all the way through. And, I was there myself where, I had someone call in and the baby's crowning. And I thought, okay, if the baby's crowning, the head is out, then that means, that we're there. I get the pin. But dad ends up running. He runs to the neighbor's house to drop off his kids to the neighbors. And when he gets back, the baby is crying. And in my head, I'm like, I say congratulations out loud, but in the back of my head, I was like, there goes that pin. Because the baby was already completely out. Yes. And I didn't find out that it was a little girl until EMS called for their times and numbers. Had I known, and I always say this, had I known at the time, I would have said to him, if you're looking for a good name, you can always name her Ricarda.
That's too funny.
But this is amazing though, that you got this call. And what's funny is I love how in the recording, the sister goes, we're waiting for the midwife, but baby's coming faster than the midwife.
Yeah. I don't know what time the midwife actually got there, but they were planned to do, like they said, a water birth at home. And so I don't even think they went to the hospital. I think EMS came, checked them out, and all was good. And midwife showed up, and baby and mom are happy and healthy.
Wow.
And we were close to the end of Valentine's Day. Like it was 11:40 something, 11:50 something. Like we were cutting it close. Yeah.
Yeah, for Valentine's baby and everything, man.
And you know how we were talking about the whole room knowing? The
Mhm.
whole room knew we were having a
Oh,
baby.
yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and so what happened after that? After you hang up, what happens? Do you just have a moment where you're just sitting there like,
Oh, I stood up.
did you stand up? Did everybody else was like, well
They're
done?
like, we had a baby! Congratulations! And I was like, yeah, thanks. And I stood up, and I was a little shaky after the call. You can't panic during the call, or you
Right.
internally panic during the call.
Yeah.
The caller has no idea. So I got up, and I was a little bit shaky. And like I said, I think it was easier having my own kids than walking somebody through it. It's hard. You don't know what's happening except like what they're telling you. You can't see it. And so, yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking to be in
Yeah.
training doing this.
And in your head, like, I say this to people all the time, and a lot of people say it as well, that because we don't see what's going on, right, our brain is piecing together this puzzle that sometimes is worse than what is actually going on out there. So as you're listening, you're developing this dispatch ear, and you're listening to everything in that environment of the call. You might hear something else, or in the back of your mind you're thinking, I don't know what that sound was, but I guess maybe we'll find out here in a moment. And it just adds to I guess the way to put it, the thrill, that adrenaline rush, the suspense, like all of this all together how long did the call last?
I don't even know, maybe 10 minutes.
See, and I bet you those 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. Like
I was just waiting for the baby to come out. I had no idea. No idea how long I was on the phone for. I just knew we were waiting for the whole body.
Oh, those are some of the best stories as well, and ones to definitely hang on to. Those are those rare feel-good moments that happen in 911. I tell people, there's a lot of hell and chaos and horrific things that happen in 911. However, there are also a lot of rewarding moments, a lot of moments to be proud of. And I've asked people on this podcast before, or when I'm teaching or whichever, what are some of the most rewarding moments that you have had in this profession, or something that you're proud of? And this for you right here is just one of those moments, and at the beginning of your 911 career.
Yes. Hold on to it forever, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. How amazing is that? So I think I might have missed it here. You got to meet the family and all, or?
I have not met the family.
Okay.
I just know, so at my church, they have like a school, and the mom is actually a teacher at the church school.
Oh.
And so everyone was like, I want to introduce you to her. So maybe one day I'll meet her and the baby. Yeah.
That is very cool. I would be so nervous. I'd be like, hi.
I was the voice you were hearing.
I know, right? Yes. That was me. I was there with you. Oh no, that is amazing. I love that. And it has been a pleasure to have you on here as well. As soon as I saw this, I have to find a way to reach out to her. I need to get her on to talk about this, because this is awesome. What I didn't know, though, until you told me before we started recording, is that you've only been dispatching for just over 3 months. And I love it too, though, because I love to get the perspective of those who are either retired, seasoned, or are new to the profession, and how they feel about it, and them getting into it. And this is one of those examples of people that hear about the profession and are pumped up to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And this is you. I mean, I can't imagine what you're going to be doing a few years from now. I mean, so let's just imagine, as we're kind of going into the wrap up of this episode, what are some things that you are already thinking about doing? I mean, are you thinking about potentially, later on, would you like to be a trainer yourself, or supervisor, or, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, Yes, is the short answer. The the longer answer is I think training somebody it makes me a little nervous.
Mhm.
But I know how much my trainers helped me, even though some of them were new, and they all helped me tremendously. And in this profession, you help. That's what
Right.
the profession is, right? And so makes me a little bit nervous to have to sit with somebody because I like to do it.
Yeah.
Like that would be the hardest part for me is to like know that I can't step in.
Mhm.
They have to do it, and so I'm very fortunate for the people that I had that trained me and wish to be like them eventually. A couple years down the road,
Yeah.
multiple years down the road, we'll see. But I've
Yeah.
got to get through the rest of training first. So next would be fire radio, and then after that's law enforcement radio. So that's what we're
Excellent.
looking for in the near future.
Oh yeah, that's all on the
Yes.
radios. I remember being on radios and the first time an officer yelled out that he was chasing someone, and I look over at my trainer, and the trainer's like, "Here we go." I was like, "All right, let's do this." And you get into it, and before you know it, it's over,
Mhm.
and you're checking on people, and everything is okay, and you just sit there. What happened? Like
Yes.
you were there, you were doing all of it, but you're so dialed in and focused that when you're done and you get a moment to really take a breath and reflect on what just happened, you're like, I can't believe that just happened right
Yeah.
now. I can't
Yeah.
believe this is my life. Like this is what I get to do. And it's a cool thing.
Yes.
It's an honor to be able to do it. So I love hearing you talk about years from now, thinking about years from now, potentially wanting to do that as well, even though it makes you a little nervous, because what it sounds like, especially with your trainers, the way you talk about them, that could be, or would be rather, an inspiration to
Yes.
continue that good cycle of training to be able to mold that literal next generation of
Yes.
911 that's coming in. And also, you have some amazing stories that could be someone else's inspiration
Mhm.
to join the profession
Mhm.
or get through maybe some harder calls to say, I've been through all of this, but also I want to share some of the good things that come from this
Yeah.
as well. And forever immortalized on the internet and everything and stuff
Yes.
that you've gone through. And hopefully, you have the audio for that call so that,
Someone has it.
yeah, so that you can always have
It's
that
been
as
pulled
well.
for sure. Yeah. And what's crazy, like what you're saying, is that my phase 4 trainer, Eva, that had the baby with me,
Mhm.
didn't have the baby with me, but we delivered the baby over the phone.
Right. Yeah.
She actually, when I was in classroom training my first week, she had delivered a baby a couple years ago, maybe a year or two ago. And we listened to her childbirth call. And then
Nice.
she was listening to me out on the floor actually deliver it. And so you're right. You hold on to these calls and you're able to use them to train other people, which is, I think, really cool.
That is very cool. That is
Yeah,
awesome. I have had such a blast with you
me
on
too.
here and learning more about you and your story, and especially this call here at the end that we were talking about with this birth on Valentine's Day. Now, I have one last question for
Okay.
you as we go into the wrap up of this episode. And this question is not to change anything because there's a lot of things that we go through, and it feels like you've gone through the gamut of calls already. But if you could go back in time to talk to yourself at the beginning of this journey that you're on right now, and again, it's not to change anything, but
Mhm.
maybe just to give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself?
To breathe a little more at the beginning. I think you're so nervous when you like, especially your higher priority calls, your
Mhm.
disturbances, your physical ones, even like your shoplifting that
Yeah.
aren't that high priority, but can turn into high priority if that you have to like take a deep breath. Here you go. Like listen, type, ask all the correct questions. And I would freeze a little bit at the beginning, like even towards the end of training, like if I hadn't taken a call like that in a couple weeks, a month or so, I would freeze a little bit just because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
And that's where you know what you're doing. You just have to breathe and go. is kind of just what I tell myself. Breathe and go. Here we go.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you very much once again for being on and for what you do in our profession. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I will be right back here with you in just one moment, if you can hang tight.
Sure.
And for those who are watching and listening, if you have any comments, questions, you ever want to be a guest on the show, you can email me, and that's going to be wttpodcast@gmail.com. But the easiest way to do all of this is to simply go to links.co/IM911, and that is links with 2 I's.co/IM911, and you will find everything there. My email, social media, where to follow, where to hear the latest episodes of the Within the Trenches podcast, as well as the Imagine Listening podcast, the free link to the Trenches community, and everything on there is free. There's over 250 hours worth of continuing education for 911 professionals. That is from Dare to Be Great virtual event 1 through 6. There's also 45 rounds of the Dispatchers Roundtable on there, full of all types of topics, all things 911. Again, all free. You can check it out there. And if you are looking for any podcast or dispatch merchandise, you'll find that there. And links to the Imagine Listening books. Again, links with 2 I's.co/IM911. This episode is sponsored by Rapid SOS, Safer Together, the leading AI company in public safety. Shout out to subscribers as always. This can be seen on Facebook, YouTube, as well as X and LinkedIn Live. And there are also clips from the Within the Trenches podcast, as well as IM911 stories, and those are all over Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. So you can go to all of those to be able to watch and consume 24/7. And for the podcast itself, you can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone, and we will see you all in the next one. Imagine listening to someone's worst day every single day. Imagine listening as someone experiences life, through their worst nightmare to the miracle of birth or a life saved. I'm Ricardo Martinez, a former 911 dispatcher, and for years I've been recording the voices of a hidden world, ours. I've provided a space for 911 dispatchers to share their powerful stories. It started as a peer support session and continues. Dispatchers sitting together, sharing out loud, or writing down what they couldn't say. Some stories will grip you. Stories of heartbreak, resilience, and calls that haunt us long after the line goes quiet. But Imagine Listening is more than heavy emotion. It's about healing. It's about laughing through the chaos, lifting each other up, and reminding the world that dispatchers are human too. The lighthearted will balance the heavy. Experience the power of storytelling, a podcast for the thin gold line and those who want to understand it. This is Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday. Subscribe now wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.